my good friend's little sister, Nadine, she's now a grown mom, but when she was a little girl, she loved Christmas, or perhaps Christmas trees. I never could tell which it was. But on Thanksgiving evening, she would insist that the family put up the Christmas tree. So no matter what you wanted to do, you had to get involved in putting up this Christmas tree. And then she refused to have anyone take it down until way in the Epiphany. She had a good reason each week why it could stay up for another week, but her mom put down her foot when it came to Lent. The Christmas tree had to come down. Now I have to tell you that someone in our church still has up his Christmas tree. But there are ways that we mark the shifts, the changes in season on the church year. A friend of mine, Noreen, sends me a little book at the beginning of each Lent. I don't know if some of you know it. It comes out of the, I think, Roman Catholic Church. There's a little black book for Lent. There's a little blue book for Advent, and there's a little white book for Easter. And for that season, the book takes you through the reading of scriptures with reflection, sort of sacred reading, trying to figure out what God is saying to you and what you need to do. Now, Noreen makes sure that I get this book at least a week before Lent begins, because a couple of days before Ash Wednesday, you are asked to think about what you are going to do, what action you are going to take on during the season of Lent. So you sort of enter it prayerfully. That little black book, when it arrives in the mail, for me, is a shift. It reminds me that I'm moving out of Epiphany into Lent. Transfiguration Sunday is another marker. In our church, on our church calendar, the last Sunday before Ash Wednesday is always Transfiguration Sunday. And we get that reading about Jesus and his disciples on that mountaintop, not always from the same gospel, but we always hear about this transfiguration. It is a shift that tells us something new is coming. We are moving out of Epiphany into Lent. And the story of the Transfiguration is significant, because here are the three disciples forming the inner circle of Jesus' 12, Peter, James, and John, up on that mountaintop and seeing Jesus in the fullness of his glory. Not just the Jesus who walked the streets and healed, the good Jesus who teaches and cares for the people that he passes. This is a Jesus who is the Son of God. This is Jesus in his divinity. And they get a glimpse of that. You know, sometimes on our spiritual journey, we also get a glimpse of Jesus in his fullness, or a deeper understanding of who Jesus is. When I hear the stories that people tell me about how they're sometimes moved to tears or to prayer or to some deep reflection because of a song they heard in church or an interaction they had with someone else, something brought you to a deeper knowledge of who Jesus is, to a closer relationship with him. We have those mountaintop experiences. So we understand in a way what Peter, James, and John found on that mountaintop, that knowledge of who Jesus is. And we need those mountaintop experiences to deepen our faith. But that's not what it's all about. Because Matthew, in his story, tells us that when Jesus comes off that mountain, he turns his face to Jerusalem. Jesus knows what God has called him to do, and he's now ready to do it. It's not an easy journey ahead of him. He is heading to the cross. He is heading to death, and beyond death, to the glorious resurrection. We too, like the disciples, are called to come down from our mountaintop experiences and to begin our journey in this Lent, to carry our cross, whatever that might be, whatever action God calls us into, so that we can also do the work for the people of God around us. We might need to know what that is by listening. You notice that when Peter decides or asks if he can build those 3 dwelling places, those 3 tabernacles, God interrupts him and says, listen to Jesus. That is what we're called to do. When we are in the midst or on our journey, we need to stop and listen to Jesus, to keep our eyes on Jesus, because that is how we know what we are called to do. In that little black book, my little Lenten reflection devotion book, halfway through the season, it asks you to go back and look at the promises you made at the beginning of the season, to prayerfully see if that is still what God is calling you to do. You see, God is constantly reaching out and giving us something to do. Sometimes we have to change directions. Sometimes we have to take on more. But we need to be connected, to remain focused on Jesus, to have our ears perked up, listening, ready to know what this new call might be. We need to hear, because God has got work for us. So as we approach Ash Wednesday, the first day of this season, this journey that we're called to make, to grow into fuller discipleship, to grow closer to Jesus, we need to stop and think, to prayerfully consider, what is God asking of me this Lent? What action do I need to do to help fulfill God's work here on earth? Who might I need to reach out to this Lent? And then as we go through Lent, we need to keep listening to God so that we know the direction we're going. My prayer for all of us this Lent is that we will know that those mountaintop experiences give us the strength and the vision and the courage to go out and do God's work. God gives us the strength to walk that journey because it's not an easy one. And God will be with us as we grow more and more to reflect that light onto the world so that His kingdom will come, and at the end of our journey, we will be ready to sing our alleluias on Easter Sunday. Amen.
Amen.